Skin cancer is the most common form of cancer in the U.S., with more than 1 million cases diagnosed each year.
And that's according to the National Cancer Institute. Also, the risk for skin cancer doubles if you have had 5 or more sunburns. So with summer just around the corner, remember to use sunscreen. And here to talk more about diseases of the skin and a free screening test coming up next week is dermatologist Angela Wingfield. Thank you for joining us this morning,
Hi,
Doctor.
it's good to see you
here.
Skin cancer, it's very common, and it's surprising actually that how easy you can get it just by exposure to the sun, because a lot of people may not even know that they're getting a burn when it's happening.
And it's not always a sunburn, and that's what people think, oh, if I get a sunburn, I'm going to get skin cancer. But it's, you know, UV damage is cumulative. So
repeated exposure.
Your entire life, you're getting little bits of sun all day long, and then you get these big bursts of sun when you go out fishing all day or you go to the beach for the weekend. But it's all that sun combined that eventually, you know, comes out to haunt you later. And so it's hard to get that message across when people are young and they feel invincible, and then when they, you know, sort of hit 50 or 60 and the signs start to really come back and get them, it's a little bit too late to prevent. And so at that point you're more watching for things to pop up, and so the prevention really happens and starts much younger in life, and that's the thing that's hard to get across to people.
I was telling her, you know, that we're at a theme park recently and looking at people's backs and wondering, gosh, do you even know that's there? And so I think it's real important for people to make sure that there's a family member that can check their body in parts that they can't see, or that you go to a doctor just for a regular checkup.
Especially with melanoma, you know, a lot of the other forms of skin cancer are more in sun-exposed areas, but melanomas can be anywhere, and of course skin cancer can be anywhere. And in men, it tends to be more on their back, women more on their legs. Well, you can see your legs more easily when you're showering and that sort of thing, but it's difficult to see your own back, even if you're
just
trying.
have a mole back there, no big
and
deal.
So there's actually an independent risk factor for dying of melanoma, and that's people who live alone, because no one else saw it, and it gets caught at a much later stage when there's a symptom or it's bleeding and leaving a spot on their shirt or something like that. And so very simply just kind of looking and saying, you know, that looks different, or, you know, that wasn't there before.
And does it feel, do you feel some pain involved with it?
Usually not until it's very late. And so with skin cancer, some of the pre-cancers that people will get on their face and arms from lots of repeated sun exposure, those will be a little rough spot, and sometimes they get more sensitive when people get out in the sun and get exposure. But for the most part, especially with melanoma and the more serious skin cancers, there's not really a symptom until it's way too late. And so it's just a matter of sort of watching and knowing what's on your skin and what looks different on your skin.
And you can help some people out with these free screenings, right?
Definitely. You know, it's also teaching people what to look for. And so you kind of look them over and you say, okay, this is a normal looking mole, so that you'll know. And then if it changes and say the color's not even anymore, or the edge looks blurry and it's not just a sharp, nice little bump or freckle, then that's when you need to start saying, yeah, maybe I should get that checked.
Start seeing a ring around the mole.
Sometimes you'll get a light spot around it, or it'll look like the pigment left in part of the mole, or it's starting to look speckled. It's your immune system is coming in and trying to fight that early cancer, and it's giving you all these weird looks on the surface. And
relatively easy to remove these.
If you can catch a skin cancer early, there's a 99% cure rate, even for melanoma. It's you know, it's knowing what to look for and not neglecting it and just letting it sit there and grow.
Are you physically cutting the mole off? You laser it off? How do you go about it?
We usually cut it off if we're worried about it in any way, and that way you can send the specimen in to the pathologist. They can look at it under the microscope and give you a good diagnosis. And so we never remove a mole that we're worried about with a laser or with a method where you can't get a tissue diagnosis.
I think it's worth noting that a lot of people who take their children out in the sun, these kids can't say, Mom, I'm burning, or anything like that. It's important that we look out for the little ones.
You know, just like you're supposed to watch out for your children and you don't want them to run across the street, and you're trying to teach them those sorts of things, we need to be teaching children about sun protection, because one blistering sunburn in childhood will double their risk for melanoma as an adult.
When do the free screenings occur?
We're going to be doing them next week at Memorial Hospital. They have morning and afternoon sessions, and I believe you can call a number. They actually appoint the time so that you're not waiting there forever.
All right, you see the number there. It's 865-3611. If you would like a free screening, call for an appointment.
Just in time to be safer this summer. Thank you.
That's right. Keep it in mind.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.